This podcast contains explicit content.
This podcast is hardly focused.
Hey, one time I huffed Gorilla Glue, and that was a mistake because some of it got in my nostril.
I'm supposed to make an announcement. On November 3rd, there is an elderly man contest. So there's two elderly men, and you're supposed to choose your favorite of the two elderly men. You can put it in the mail, or you can go and write down which elderly man you like, and then we'll add them all up, and then we might have the same elderly man, or we might have a new elderly man. But just rest assured, no matter what happens, nothing much will change in the United States. The rich will continue to prosper while the poor languish. Families will be upended by mental illness and drug addiction. Jane Lynch will continue to book lots of projects, and when she does, she'll deliver. She's so good at being on TV. Very good. That will continue, but there will be problems. There will be sleepovers where, 5 of the girls gang up on one of the girls, and they bully the girl. And the girl they're bullying, the girl having the sleepover didn't even want to invite, but her mom made her, and that's really the root of the tension. And they bully her until she's crying, and then she wants to go home. So the parents of the girl having the sleepover have to call the unpopular girl's parents and say, "Can you come pick her up?" And then there's that moment where the dad has to sit at the dining room table while they wait for the pickup, and he's in pajamas and the outcast is in her winter coat looking kind of stoic, and they have nothing to talk about, So he tries to apologize for the fact that his daughter is a bitch, and he kind of implies that she gets it from the wife. All of that will still continue.
We're hardly focused. That was John Mulaney on Saturday Night Live last night. Halloween, 31st of October. Talking about the election that's coming up. Kind of a big thing on the horizon.
Is it? Is there one?
Supposedly. And quickly, hardly focused. You can find us on Facebook. Facebook.com/Hardly Focused Podcast, or also on Twitter at Focus Hardly. So follow us there. Por favor. And yeah, November 3rd, that's 2 days from now, Election Day. If you haven't yet voted early, then on Election Day, go vote. Nate, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but I know you had some tribulations with.
Let's do it. Let's talk about it.
Okay. Really quickly, Act, did you vote already?
Yeah.
Okay.
My wife and I both voted by mail.
Okay.
We tracked our ballots. They have arrived safely.
Oh, that's good. I know you usually vote early, right? Or you try to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, in years past, it's been easy for me. I work like a 3-minute walk from City Hall in Boston. So, I remember 2016, it was just like an event. I went early, but just a few days early. And, the line was out the building, down the street, around a corner. It was just intense, but it was fun. I enjoy that kind of thing. I like seeing people participating in their civic responsibilities. It brings me joy.
Yeah, and especially this year, too. This year's a wee bit important. Nate, what tribulations did you face trying to vote?
I can't find, or it's just, it says not found. I sent it out, I put the address and everything, and I went to the trackmyballot.com, I entered in my very real address, 123 not giving my address street, and they were unable to find it. It just said not found. So then I was like, okay, well, maybe they have the street different. So I entered in all the different ways that you could say where I was supposed to go. It took me a while to realize, you put the address of not your address, but the address of where you vote. And so then I did that, and it still says it can't find it. So I was like, great. And then I found $20.
Was that the ballot itself or the request for the ballot?
The ballot itself. I already answered all the questions and did the things, and I sent it out, and It's been about 2.5 weeks, so I would expect it to have gotten there by now. But the dilemma that I have now is that I have to, I guess, vote in person and see if they don't have it, and hope that if it is lost, it stays lost. Because if I vote in person
Right.
and then they do find it, then I voted twice, and that is bad.
Yeah. I mean, there might be a way to like invalidate it. Like if there's like a number you can call and say, "Hey, you guys haven't found it yet. I'm going to vote in person. Just destroy it if you do find it." Or I don't know.
Yeah, they got to
Yeah, I
tag.
don't
They
know.
got to tag that stuff, and I'm sure the ballots might have been updated too. Like new names might appear on there that weren't on the like the ones that we got a few weeks ago. I might just be speaking out of my ass. I don't know if like what we received is the final version, because I really wanted to vote for Kanye, and he wasn't on the ballot yet when when I filled mine out. So
He was on mine.
oh, he was.
Yeah.
Was he really? Okay, yeah. So they had to have updated it. So
Yeah, they did.
yeah, I would just show up and just in person and just plead your case and see what happens, and try to find out.
I mean, so the problem I have with that is that this place is slowly becoming Chernobyl, like everywhere, like because everybody, like we just had trick-or-treaters all out, like trick-or-treating. We'll have, I don't want to get too political here, but like we'll have certain parties that don't believe in masks going to the polls, and
Heaven
yeah,
forbid
that's just how I feel. Like,
political
because
when we
most
talk
of
about
the
voting.
people have already voted.
Wait, what was that, Ak?
I
It's
said,
true.
heaven forbid you get too political while we're talking about voting.
Yeah, I mean it's
True.
It's okay.
I
You're fine. You can talk about
I try not to like point fingers at, because I know like I can't label all Republicans to be like this or all Democrats to be like this. So I'm trying to be more open and trying to be more respectful. But yeah, it's kind of scary thinking that like a large majority of people who don't follow science, it's not unicorns or like, you know, urban legends, it's science, and they're not following it, are going to be voting in person.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it just seems like a scary contaminated zone. So I don't know if I really want to vote in person. That's why I requested a ballot to come to me.
Right.
You don't call an Uber and then when the Uber shows up says, "You know what? I'm going to take my car."
That's I mean, you've got valid reasoning. You know, it's at the same time, you know, I think as long as you play it safe, show up early. I mean, I don't know how many people are going to be, you know, out voting at 7:00 in the morning on Tuesday, but
That's true.
show up early and, you know, make sure you have your mask, hand sanitizer, you know, do what you have to do to stay safe. But look, I go out not like daily, but, you know, I've been fine. You know, it's the people who are getting sick, I think, are the ones who are the ones who are, unless they're nurses, they're doctors, they're in high risk situations. I think it's just people who just aren't playing it safe, who are just trying to defy it, who are like pulling like a Trump and saying, "Hey, it's not going to happen to me, so I'm not going to wear a mask and I'm not going to wash my hands or wear gloves or what have you." They're the ones who are like going to parties that are, you know, like the coronavirus parties where they're defying all logic, and then they get it, you know?
Yeah.
Send that to a nicer guy.
Well, I did get tested. I did go to a clinic on Friday. They did the thing where they stick it up your nose and they jiggle it, and you know, it's uncomfortable, but it's not as bad as everybody says. Like they're like, "Oh, it hurts so bad. It was so painful." It's fine.
Depends on the test. I think the original tests that they were doing were painful because of like they were going like real deep into your throat. That's what she said, or up your nose, and they've simplified it, especially with the rapid testing that you can do.
I mean, it was pretty far back there, and I did start to tear up, but they were tears of joy because I was really happy to be there. No, I was like, I hated it. It was horrible. I even like told the guy that like I was having a panic attack, and then a sweet nurse came in later that wasn't my nurse and wasn't even like associated with the doctor that I was seeing, came in and was like, I have anxiety too. And she brought me a heat pack, and she was so sweet. And I want to say that, like, I wish I got her name because she's a hero in my book, because I was freaking out, and she has anxiety and she's able to show up to that facility. That's her job. Her job is to be around the sick, and she has anxiety. So I can imagine she has to go through hell every day.
Yeah.
And not to mention doctors at this point, like imagine Black Friday, like working like in retail on a Black Friday. And that's just like for, what are we, 9 months in? Like, I just have so much respect for doctors and nurses. Like, my heart goes out to all the people who have to be out in public. And that's my statement. And vote, go vote.
Well, I'm glad that nurse helped you out. That's really good to hear. Just shows that there are actually, nice and kind people left in this world. The comment you made about Black Friday, I honestly, I'm starting to get petrified just based on what like England has just done, what other European countries are doing. Is hell, dude, retail might not even be a thing on Black Friday. We might be back in lockdown, and the non-essential businesses might be closed.
It's hard. It's so hard for me to say my opinion because, like, I get it. I understand why so many people don't want like the shutdowns, because the economy is so bad right now. Like, it's really scary how bad it is. But at the same time, like, the health side of it is also pretty bad, and it's tricky, man. I don't know what do you guys think?
Equity.
I think it's better to be poor than dead. Is my, I mean, and again, it is tough for me, and I agree with Nate. I'm someone that, well, the studies are showing that people are at like record low mental health. We have more people than any other time in recorded history contemplating suicide, struggling with depression because of this isolation. And I'm the best I've ever been. I've left the house 5 times since March. I love it. If I could live the rest of my life like this, I would be fine. So in a way, it's easy for me to say, hey, everybody, suck it up, stay home, save lives. But I also understand that it's easier for me to say that than for someone who might sincerely feel like they're going to blow their brains out if they don't go socialize and see their family and see their loved ones and hug their friends and be around people physically. Other people genuinely need that more than I do.
Yeah.
So I don't want to just go shaming people and say, oh, you're just suck it up.
Yeah. Don't shame me, please, because I'm doing a family thing after this. So.
Yeah. So like, but again, I mean, I also don't think there's much use in blaming individuals when we have very blatantly figureheads like the President of the United States downplaying it and mocking it and making fun of people for taking it seriously. And then, a study just came out yesterday. 700 deaths have been directly connected to Trump rallies because he has no mask mandates, no distancing mandates. It's like he's basically a fucking plague rat of a human being.
He really is.
So
that's putting it nicely too.
Yeah, like if I'm going to direct my ire towards anything, it's going to be him. Yeah, and not individuals who feel like they can't take it anymore and they have to go, to a family function, or they have to go to their job or to their office, or, I'm going to be more angry at Trump if I have to direct my anger anywhere.
Well, especially compared to how other countries are handling it, right? Like I know, like New Zealand. I mean, they're isolated, but they've pretty much beaten it. Australia, I think, has been doing well by comparison. They weren't doing well for a while. Now we're the ones who are facing the worst surges again. But the fact that we're now nearing election day isn't helping the rallies you were just talking about. Not to mention we're still seeing rioting and general civil unrest happening around the country because there's still police shootings that are happening. There's just so many things that are going on. They're just exacerbating the issue, and I don't think we're really we're there's a lot of talk and not a lot of action. It's people pointing out, hey, this is getting worse. It's going to keep getting worse. But those same people are staying there scratching their heads saying, well, it's getting worse, but how do we fix it? How do we make it better? Yeah. So,
well, I want to add that there are a few places I think over in Europe that are actually doing pretty bad right now.
I know Germany is spiking again.
Yeah, because they all thought that they were out of it, and that's how this works: is you let your guard down, and it goes way back up. So they're actually way up here when we're down here. Yeah, in terms of. So
I just mentioned about England. I mean, they shut down again. They're going to be shut down for a month, and don't forget. Hey, we said we were going to shut down for 2 weeks, and that was in March. Right?
Yeah.
So
our office, our managing partner sent out an email a month ago saying just for now, we're closed until January 1st and we'll reassess then.
You got January. I got June. I got the reassessment happening 9 months from now. So
no, I mean, it's probably going to go much further beyond that. He just said we're not even going to think about it until the new year.
Yeah. The thing
wait. We're stupid though. The president said that it's one of his accomplishments, didn't he? Didn't he say we beat it? We're out of it. We're everything's fine.
Mission accomplished.
We did it. That's one of the things he did was he beat Corona. Yeah. We're idiots. Why are we talking about it still happening?
God, I want to go back.
It's gone. It's over.
I want to go back to the days. I want to go back to the days when vaping and the war in Iraq were the worst things that we had going on. Those are just
I saw
afterthoughts
a great
now.
headline from Reductress the other day that was just, I want to go back to hating the president a normal amount.
I agree.
That's the perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
Joe Biden's going to do plenty of things that suck and that I don't like, but I'll be able to go entire days without being angry.
Yeah.
And that's I think we can't overstate enough how good that's going to be for everyone's collective mental health to be able to go hours at a time not having to think about this shit.
Right. I mean, I want to go I want to go back to seeing people debate politics, but for logical reasons, right? And not debate politics because old people are giving in to an old man who has no filter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think he really, I had this really scary thought last night. I was thinking, there's a chance that Donald Trump isn't an idiot. He's just really evil. And this is all a strategy to get us pissed off at each other.
He's a businessman.
I feel like he really tries to do it.
He's a businessman. This is literally like in Grand Theft Auto Vice City. This is Burt Reynolds' character there. Avery Carrington with Donald Love versus everyone else blowing up buildings so he can have a monopoly on the real estate industry.
It's just...
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people, and again, we can't predict the future, and I don't want this to go too far into conspiracy theory territory, but I've seen a lot of people suggest that if Biden wins decisively on Tuesday, so much so that it can't be contested and it's just Trump concedes, for the last few months where he's a lame duck, there's nothing stopping him from doing everything in his power to make the country as terrible as he can, so that when Biden takes over, all the Republicans can in an instant switch to, wow, look how shitty a job Joe Biden is doing. The
Yeah.
Democrats haven't let us out of this pandemic yet. The economy is in shambles. This is why we need Republicans to come in and put the Democrats in check. It's going to be like, well, you guys just spent 3 months intentionally making things as bad as you possibly could.
I mean,
Yeah,
it wasn't Bush's intention to do this, but then like the same thing happened with Obama. Like Obama inherited a lot of things that ultimately were resolved to some degree, but you know, he walked into a dumpster fire.
It's kind of, and again, not to get too partisan here, but it's kind of been the pattern for as long as I've been alive, right? When I was born in the last few months of the Bush 1 administration. But I'll consider Bill Clinton the first president of my lifetime. Economy starts going up, and George W. Bush takes over a good economy, tanks it. Obama takes over a bad economy, recovers it. Economy starts going up. Donald Trump takes over a good economy, tanks it. Economy's terrible. You know, it's been the cycle my entire life. Democrats leave good economies that the Republican then takes, says, look how good the economy is under me. And then it's in shambles by the time they leave office. And it's up to the next Democrat to right the ship again. That's just been every single presidential cycle of my entire life.
I just want to quickly flex my random knowledge of presidential trivia. You actually got 3 years of the Bush administration because Clinton was elected in 92. What you got out of that was the Gulf War.
Yeah.
Remember that happened in 91. So, and it wasn't long by any means, but it was still a significant war that made the history books under Bush #1. So,
and let me tell you, 3-year-old me had some opinions about that.
Quickly, the White House did list on their website under their list of accomplishments, they listed ending COVID-19 as an accomplishment, despite the numbers just skyrocketing on a daily basis. According to CNN, the news release that was put out said highlights include, in all caps, ending the COVID-19 pandemic. Quote, from the outside of the COVID-19 pandemic, the administration has taken decisive actions to engage scientists and health professionals in academia, industry, and government to understand, treat, and defeat the disease. According to White House Communications Director Alyssa Farah, she said that the release was, quote, poorly worded. She says, the intent was to say that it is our goal to end the virus. But what I would say is this: because of the president's leadership, we are rounding the corner on the virus. So no, because it's getting worse by the day. But at the same time, this just goes to show, I love it when people in the White House have to go and then correct something that comes out by the president. The president says one thing, and then someone else has to be like, I gotta fix the wording here on this. Like they don't necessarily disagree with him, but then they have to go be like, what he was trying to say was like,
and that's been a constant for the entire, ever since he started running, is the whole incredibly fucked up idea of take him seriously, but not literally. He says things, and you have to interpret what he means, which is often not what he actually said.
Yep.
That's what the Republicans claim, to which I say, please fuck off forever.
Yep, I agree.
Well, oh my God. I'm going to quote what I said to someone on Reddit yesterday, because they were talking about, when Biden's elected, blah, 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 blah. And I just responded with, boy, do I just hope that it's a when scenario and not an if.
Sorry, you go first, Nate.
Oh, I was just going to say something negative, just be negative, like rain on your parade, is that the thing I'm scared about is that if Biden wins, there's a lot of Trump supporters who say that they will rage in violence. There's certain white supremacist groups that are saying that they are willing to cause violence if Trump doesn't win.
Yeah, and I mean, they kind of already are, and encouraged by Trump and the entire Republican leadership. Did you see the clip yesterday of those trucks with the Trump flags trying to run a Biden bus off the road. And then Trump retweets it saying, I love this. And then the official Republican Party chairwoman of Texas basically said, fake news. Why don't you talk about all the illegal immigrants that are raping and murdering people instead of this?
What the fuck?
It's dark. They're basically giving free rein, if not open encouragement to people to do things like this.
Yep.
He talked about.
Then I was just going to say, what's fascinating to me is just nobody disputes that Joe Biden is going to get more votes. The question is he going to win despite the fact that he's going to get more votes?
Right, because this is exactly what happened 4 years ago.
Yeah. It's 100% guaranteed. Joe Biden's popular vote lead is going to be larger than Hillary Clinton's by all accounts. But through the Electoral College and just legal fuckery through the partisan right-wing hacks that Trump and McConnell have littered the federal judiciary with over the last 4 years, are they going to just be able to throw out hundreds of thousands of votes as not applicable so that Trump technically still wins?
Yeah.
That is the strategy. And it's not even their secret strategy. It's their open, blatant election strategy is, yeah, Joe's going to get more votes, but we might be able to throw out enough of them that Trump can still win.
Yeah, and the fact that we're having this conversation where we're at as a society, like the fact that that's even an option, and most people are like, that's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just
this happened 4 years ago too. I mean, the protest started on Inauguration Day, not even on Election Day when Trump won. That's when the protests began. I just remember because I was in California when Trump was inaugurated, and I missed the protests in L.A., like the highways being shut down. I missed that by like a day. I remember because people were like messaging me like, "Oh, you gotta be safe. You gotta be safe. The end of the world." Quickly, Walmart, taking guns and ammo off the floor in their stores, and then they put it back on because they said that the civil unrest that was occurring was localized, so they're not concerned. Yeah, it's not going to be so localized in a few weeks. No, it doesn't matter who wins the election. There's going to be unrest. Yeah. It's gonna be the George Floyd protest all over again. We're going to be seeing Boston getting set on fire on the news all over again. And it's not going to be. It's obviously not going to be about that. It's going to be about. It's either going to be angry Democrats or it's going to be angry Republicans. I just fear that the Republicans are, if Biden wins, those are the ones who are going to go bananas because, they've already had the fuel from our fear mongering leader. His whole Proud Boys comment, that's
And I mean, if you want any example of the difference between these two candidates, is Biden constantly and repeatedly, when asked, absolutely denounces violent protests, destructive riots. He denounces any, violence done in the name of liberalism or the Democrats. Trump is biologically incapable of denouncing anyone who likes him. I mean, you've got Kyle Rittenhouse, who literally crossed state lines with illegally obtained firearms and murdered 2 unarmed people. And he's now literally a folk hero among Republicans. This kid's going to be an elected congressman within the next 10 years. On the claim to fame of murdering protesters. And meanwhile, Joe Biden is like, look, Antifa needs to calm down and stop, lighting fires and breaking into buildings. So I think if you're someone who dislikes violence or wants a return to civility, it's not a false equivalency. It's not a both sides have agitators. It is very clear to me that one side lifts up and promotes the violence of their own side, and the other side denounces it.
Yep.
100%.
It also seems too that Trump only comes out and says he's against all these things happening when someone else comes out and says it. Like, because he'll backtrack on something that he said, or he'll only start to talk about how bad it is that riots are happening when enough people are clamoring, like, you're huffing paint, sir. Riots, no matter what the context is, they're not good.
Yeah.
He says both opinions all the time, so that he's never so that they can take what he is saying and appeal to certain people, except he's never really appealed to our side, really. He's just like, oh yeah, sure. I'll denounce whoever, but the real problem is, like, he'll say both.
Yeah. Whenever elections happen in other countries like Brazil or what have you, anytime I see like the news alert pop up on my phone, like riots because like a president was overthrown or something happens, I always think like, boy, I'm so happy I live in America where we don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. We're probably going to have to worry about that because it's going to happen here now too. And I just want to play this really quickly. Whenever I think about Trump backtracking on something that he says just to try to win the opinions of people, it reminds me of this.
We're proud of all of our Duff commercials, but here's a very special one from 1960. Well, I would suggest, Mr. Van Oker, that if you knew the president, that was probably just a facetious remark.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
I would like to take this opportunity to express my fondness for Duff beer.
I'd also like to express my fondness for that particular beer.
A man never drank a Duff in his life.
Always comes back to The Simpsons. Okay.
Always.
There's so much more that could be said about that, but let's leave it at that. Election day is 2 days from now. It's on Tuesday. If you haven't voted yet, go vote. There's nothing more important right now.
If you're listening to this before that date, then do it. But if you're listening to it after...
If you're listening to this afterwards, then congratulations to President whoever won. Hopefully not Trump. Congratulations to President Gary Johnson. You finally did it. Vote, wear a mask, wash your hands, be safe. Ack, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
And we'll have to do this again. We'll have to do a post-election recap just to...
Yes. Either celebratory or very, very depressed and anxious.
Celebratory or us reenacting Heaven's Gate.
Yes.
Make sure you wear your finest black with your finest and newest Nikes.
Suicide pact. All right, we're in.
Nate, thank you for being here, and good luck trying to get your ballot stuff sorted out. I really hope that you can at least officially get your vote in.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir.
And we will leave it at that. We'll talk at you next time. See you. Bye.
Hardlyfocused.com